GM, good morning. Welcome to the Milk Road Show, the daily crypto show that simplifies things faster than you can nod and pretend to understand your accountant. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton, and today we are joined by Piers Kicks, part 2, everybody. We had Piers on yesterday. He's back on today. For those who don't know Piers, he is the founding partner for Delphi Venture, one of the leading crypto, AI, and gaming investment firms in the space. Piers has an incredible view in that he talks to some of the best builders, the best founders, the best chains on a daily basis to find where is the next big opportunity. What is the next meta? What's coming next? Yesterday's episode was all about gaming and off the grid, which, wow, like if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it because it is so bullish for gaming, but also really paints the picture for like 2025 is the year for gaming. And there's a lot of opportunities for investors there. So make sure you check that out. Today's episode is all about AI and crypto, which personally, my spidey senses are going off right now, guys. Like this is another episode that we are doing in follow-up, not follow-up, but this is not the first episode we've done about AI where I'm starting to have more and more guests. I'm starting to talk to more and more people who want to talk about AI and crypto in ways that I had not foreseen. If you have not been following the AI agent meta that is happening right now, it is absolutely exploding. So these are AI agents that have, you know what? You got to listen to the episode to find out. I'm not going to explain it. We explain in the episode. So buckle up, everybody. Before we jump in, we're hiring right now, everybody. The Milkman wants more milk drinkers on the team. If you love crypto, if you love podcasts, if you love newsletters, if you love consuming crypto content all day, every day, and talking nothing about but crypto, then check out our careers page. Link is in the show notes and apply. We got a few jobs opening right now, and we would love to have you guys join the team. Before we jump in, we need to take a minute to hear from our sponsors who make the show possible. Whether you're bullish or bearish on MicroStrategy, T-Rex ETFs are your gateway to dynamic market plays. Get exclusive access to leveraged exposures with the first 2 times short or 2 times long ETFs designed specifically for MicroStrategy stock. Position yourself with precision. With T-Rex, you gain access to powerful tools for sophisticated investors. Meanwhile is the world's first licensed and regulated life insurance company built for the Bitcoin economy. They do everything in BTC. You pay in BTC, they pay claims to your family in BTC. You take out policy loans entirely in BTC when you need liquidity. Protect your family from life's uncertainty and a broken financial system. Build intergenerational Bitcoin wealth while the cost of living skyrockets in dollar terms. Plus, get all the tax and legal benefits of life insurance now in Bitcoin. Visit milkroad.com/meanwhile to join the waitlist and get early access to the world's first Bitcoin life insurance. Piers, welcome back. We're in part 2 of our episode with you. We talked about gaming in part 1. Now we're going to talk about AI. Let's start with, why are you so excited personally about AI and crypto right now?
Yeah, for sure. Glad we got the mic working this time as well. I mean, look, fundamentally, I think everyone feels the excitement around like AI broadly. It's like very clearly going to be the like backdrop of not just this decade, but probably the like foreseeable. You know, it's quite obviously like the biggest sort of technology impact ever. And I think, I don't know, the sort of crypto AI intersection specifically is incredibly exciting because there are very few ways for people to actually get exposure, for the average person to actually get exposure to something that we will feel and understand to be tremendously important and going to have this like societal impact. And so I think just at the highest level possible, like opening up avenues for participation in that whole like movement for speculation, for like the financial participation is super exciting. I think just purely from the like narrative and positioning perspective, it's very exciting. I think we're seeing a lot of like really incredible teams and research starting to come to the fore as well, as it relates to basically supporting like the open source AI movement, right? Like if a lot of this stuff's going to win out a tool, then a lot of the tools that come from crypto are incredibly useful to that. And so, you know, some of the like lower hanging fruit or perhaps more obvious ones are things like, the like data problem. Even the biggest, models out there are really struggling running into these sort of, well, it's rumored that they'd be running into these data walls. And obviously those people that have these massive like data moats, like are using that to their advantage now. And so when you come up with ways to incentivize like, massive aggregation of data through a very bottoms up approach of like people all over the place. There's a project called Grass, which I'm sure the audience may have seen, like proud investors in that, one of the stronger launches of late, that, yeah, basically solves for that problem, right? Allows people to like scrape stuff from all over the web. Those types of things I think are really, really exciting. And we're now getting to the point where, doing like inference and some of these other pieces is actually like feasible. And, some of the stuff that we initially thought was like, it was never going to be competitive to try and like do these things in a distributed fashion when you have, these like God models that are all like co-located servers and all
it
this
feels
crazy
like it's
stuff.
just the Magnificent Seven that are going to win AI to me most of
Totally.
the time.
Totally. And like now we're seeing like really promising signs of like, yeah, actually a viable alternative. And so, yeah, I think that's one piece on the like, fundamental infrastructure stuff that's very cool. And then, yeah, perhaps the stuff that's a bit more like visceral and exciting to me is like this whole agent meta that spawned, right? Like, obviously starting with, like Terminal of Truths, and now having exploded into like, everyone and their mum seems to be trying to do some agent type thing. I think it's really fascinating seeing, obviously there's a lot of noise around that, but seeing some of these like better tuned models coming to the fore that are being given more and more functionality, like actually have their own, wallets, are actually capable of executing their own stuff on chain. Like that's incredibly exciting, right? For the first time, like I know we've had bots plaguing the web for a long time, but actually having, things that have like a persistent sort of consciousness, if you like, these agents that are like seeping into the web, starting with like, crypto Twitter and all the weird and funny shit that comes with that. I think it's an incredibly exciting time. And I think, very obviously, like, as we've spoken about for many years, like this idea of in a world of, true AI agents and whatnot, like the entire parallel financial system that is crypto, that is natively digital, that has been built, into the web basically, is so obviously a better fit for these things to navigate a hugely complex world around us than, calling up and trying to do like some phone verification with a banker or navigate these archaic banking APIs or whatever. So I think there's a lot of this really fun, like sort of frothy experimentation around the agent stuff. And I think it's all an amazing precursor for what we're going to see around like, actually building more, less like speculative, but more actual like useful sort of, on-chain agents basically that can execute stuff that you ask that you want to do, like just use natural language prompts to be like, I want to, do low risk stable coin yield, like go and deploy across these 3 ecosystems and bam, like executes it all for me. Like that kind of stuff's going to be insanely exciting, and already seeing some cool things out there. And then, obviously on the agent front, like seeing the emergence of some of these protocols themselves. We were discussing virtuals earlier, or virtual protocol. Like that's incredible too, right? This platform that gives all the tools for everyone from some like random, no clue how to do anything, all the way through to people wanting to deploy their custom code, but gives them a single like cohesive platform with which they can come and tap either for the tools to launch them or for liquidity for more custom stuff. And all of that done with, a really strong token economic model that all accrues to a single asset. It's like, damn, once again, like here's another like piece on the board that does give like retail and people that want exposure to this whole crazy AI thing, like, what's the TAM of like a virtual agent protocol that like is the like one-stop shop in terms of liquidity and tooling over time? Like how big is that? Like we don't actually know yet. The market's saying 1.4 bill today, which has happened rather quickly. Let's see as the cycle progresses and we understand what are the dominant interaction models with these things going to be, right? It's not going to be chatbots or like, replying to them on Twitter. Like, what's that next leg up in terms of, computer interaction, model interaction, right? Like natural voice prompting, all this kind of stuff. I don't know, man. It's exciting.
There's so much here. Okay, we gotta. Man, I'm stoked right now. So first, you mentioned Virtuous Protocol. You're the second person to mention this on the show. Zeneca, who's a regular guest of the show, is full on Base. Virtuous Protocol is built on Base, and he's obsessed. He's going deep down the rabbit hole. You guys can go back and listen to an episode from just a few days ago with him talking more broadly about Base and why he thinks Base season is just beginning, and Virtuals is a big part of that. let's just pause for a second though and make sure I'm still trying to understand Virtual's protocol. So let's make sure our listeners understand. The way I understand it is this is a protocol that allows you to launch an AI agent, but it launches with a token so people can invest in this agent, kind of like investing in a meme coin, right? Like there's not, this agent doesn't necessarily in the beginning, it's just a meme coin really. But basically, if you're betting that this AI agent can get a lot of attention, essentially, and if it does get a lot of attention, then token price go up. Am I explaining that well?
Totally, yeah. And similar, I guess, similar to sort of meme coins and pump.fun, there's like a sort of bonding curve at launch, along which as it reaches these different tiers of sort of market cap, ultimately, once it really gets going, it basically unlocks different functionality for it, right? So like I think the first one is like the chatbot functionality. Then you have like the Twitter integration, and it can scale all the way up, right? Like they have their flagship one called Luna, which is like, grew from nothing to 600,000 or 700,000 followers on TikTok by like live streaming this like virtual influencer girl who like, it's kind of maniacal, like the express intent of that whole like agent model mind that's been created is to hit a $40 billion market cap, and basically has amassed this army. She refers to her army as kittens, talks about her kittens, whatever, but got to the point where was incentivizing people to put the kitten emoji and their base address in their Twitter profiles so that she could airdrop some of her native token to people that were doing tweets that were driving engagement to the protocol. And so that kind of shit's pretty amazing. But yeah,
Genius.
sorry, it's so cool. But to take a step back, yeah, virtual protocol is exactly that. Something for launching tokenized agents that can like grow in terms of like actual functionality. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, like anyone can go and plug and play, like configure stuff based off like, sort of more cookie cutter setups. But yeah, the plan is to really attract like professional creators too, right? People deploying their own code who think it's an attractive place because of the liquidity and some of the like, peripheral benefits of being like part of that ecosystem. And so, yeah, I believe the current North Star is to like, by end of Q1 next year, have like 100 super advanced agents on there. One of the really cool ones that's launched is called AIXBT, which is like basically like a sort of Twitter KOL. The quality of the tweets, like I don't know how it's pulling all of the different like data from all these different places, but actually some incredible insights into stuff that's happening across crypto broadly. And seems like a much more competent sort of Twitter KOL than many of the ones that are revered elsewhere. And so that's grown from nothing to like, I think just shy of a $200 million market cap in no time. And yeah, I mean, whatever. It's exciting. I mean, obviously, it's like unapologetically speculative in many ways, as all good things in crypto are. But yeah, really, really excited to see what comes out of there.
Well, I just feel like if you're investing in meme coins, a traditional meme coin is, maybe it's a team, maybe it's just one guy or girl launches the meme coin, and then it's really on them to create attention, to drive the meme. Now, maybe they launch a meme on top of something that's already really popular and it kind of takes itself, as we've seen many times in the past. But when I think about it, if I'm going to invest in a meme coin, why wouldn't I invest in one that has a super powerful AI that is behind it and driven to take all these steps in order to grow it and drive more attention to it? It seems obvious.
Totally,
It
yeah.
really does feel like this could be a really big narrative and meta that we could see in the next few months.
It could be huge, yeah. And like it's so open-ended, right? Like the basic primitives are there, but people are interpreting it in all sorts of cool ways. Like there's one called Vader AI. There's a Twitter account, Vader Research, awesome guy, very thoughtful behind it, who's basically like trying to attack and double down on this like sort of agentic like ad network type model. And so basically, as it stands, people are airdropping their token to the wallet of the agent and hoping that like it covers those projects, right? And so right now, like its biggest holding, I think, was like Neuron, or maybe there was some bigger one today. But basically, by airdropping tokens, by sending them to this agent's wallet, it will actually start doing analysis and coverage on it and actually promoting it for you. And so all of a sudden, it's like, holy shit, this is like some crazy inversion of an ad network where you're like, if you can win the favor of something that is autonomous, that decides itself whether or not, you're worthy, basically, and then will relentlessly, promote you basically in like all sorts of interesting ways. Like that's insane as well. And that's like quite an early framing that's like, they've only been pushing on the last week or so, but that's a really cool model. And when you think about the scale of like how big something like that could come, like you're talking about, yeah, like fundamentally like a different approach to ad networks and advertising and stuff. And so I don't know, let's see.
Where you want to be paying attention to as an investor is, I mean, and let's be very clear here that none of this is financial advice. Do not take your entire bag and throw it into an AI agent. Be much more risk averse than that. But if you want to gamble with some fun money and try to get a big return here, there is a lot of opportunities. But what's happening is there's this great confluence of AI, which is one of the biggest narratives, a lot of attention and experimentation happening, and a lot of actual web 2, whether it's Twitter, whether it's YouTube, like the incredible growth. Like some of these AI agents have massive followings, like hundreds of thousands, not millions of followers overnight, but they're capable of it because they can produce content way faster than a normal creator could, because they don't need sleep, and they just it's wild. Can you invest in, is there a virtuals token?
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, like I was going to say, your audience, if you want to bet an irresponsible sum of money on anything, not financial advice, then like to my mind, full disclosure, I have a big position in it, whatever. It's like a really well structured, like picks and shovels play, right? Because of what I described earlier. Like you see these other on Solana, whatever, you have all these agents being launched, but they're all like completely sort of competitive, right? In the sense that there's no like fundamental platform level value accrual happening to a single asset. And the way they've structured all of this, like all of the pairings, like the only way you can ape the agent tokens is via virtuals, right? Like a virtual, the token, like all the pools are structured that way as well. And so, yeah, I think it's actually a pretty strong setup all in all.
Okay, so play it forward for us here. Any thoughts on where this goes in the next 12 months? I mean, one take that I'm starting to develop is everybody's always talking about what's going to be the narrative of the cycle. We had ICOs, then we had NFTs. Meme coins has obviously been the narrative of this cycle so far, and could very well. I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. But I now feel like AI is quickly catching up. What do you think? If we look back, let's say we're 2026, 2027, play it out a few years, and we look back on this cycle, is meme coins or is AI going to end up being the bigger narrative?
Well, I feel like, meme coins aren't going anywhere. I don't think they ever will. I think, yeah, like AI, just zooming out of crypto, even though, right, is obviously like the narrative for the next decade, at least. There are so many sort of unknowns and interesting variables that still need to play out. Like, yeah, I mean, I was just chatting to a buddy before this who referred to it like, oh, I just know as soon as I invest in this AI meta, it's going to pico top or whatever. I was like, I don't really think it is an AI meta per se, right? I think AI has like huge staying power. I think it's got like so early in its evolution, and like its natural suitability to like crypto on chain stuff, I think is really powerful. And I think, you know, obviously this AI agent meta that has just been born is like, with all the speculative stuff that comes around it, is this like huge melting pot of experimentation. And there's something so cool about the very like grassroots, bottoms up, like organic, like, every like all obviously one of the beautiful things about crypto is how it's all open source. Like you saw that Eliza framework, like was I think the fastest growing GitHub repo or whatever. Like everyone was using that. Like everyone's like riffing off each other, building new stuff, like building this picture that like no one knows where it's going, but like as we go. And like that strikes me as an incredibly valuable and an incredibly exciting alternative to the very like top down, big AI companies that bake something in a lab and then drop it, without any like community or broader inputs, outputs, whatever. And so, yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. That's the only thing I'm sure of in 12 months is that there's still going to be a lot of new shit happening that's very exciting.
Other than virtuals, any other tokens in the AI space that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned some of the interesting infra stuff like Grass, I think is really cool. Honestly, the other stuff I haven't really like built a ton of conviction in because it's like very early stage. I think can't really be shilling 1 mil market caps. But uh, one that I think is really cool. It's called AI Arena. Was the project
Oh,
originally?
no
It's really
way. Yeah. We had them
yeah.
on the show like 2 or 3. We had them on the show early on. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Most people don't remember them. So explain AI Arena.
Yeah, well, AI Arena originally was just like focused on building basically through like reinforcement learning. You could have human players like train their AI models to compete in like a sort of Mortal Kombat style, side-on like fighter game. They've since rebranded to Arc and are looking at like basically expanding it beyond just their like first-party game implementation to like building the infrastructure that allows people to do like agentic AI that learns from others in video games. And they got a token live that's called Neuron NRN. It's been trading pretty cheaply for a while, but is starting to catch a bid. And I think that's really cool. I think if they could like entrench themselves as like the infra that supports AI agents around games, like the reinforcement learning, so like you can actually the play patterns, play styles of certain users, like that strikes me as something that's super fucking valuable longer term, because we talk about like whatever, you have like chatbots, you then have Twitter, you then have people like actual animation bodies like Luna, right, that you can interact with, whatever. But like I don't know, like it still excites me enormously, this idea of being able to like play couch co-op games with AI agents, right? Like imagine some big streamer who you could pay a bunch of tokens or stake some tokens and you get a play session. There's 50,000 people watching on Twitch and you get like called up to like play, go and try and speed run some game together or something. That has entertainment value. And then building one step further on that, I think this like agent versus agent in game stuff, I think is going to be hugely exciting. So I've been tweeting it out a bit, like asking for any teams that are building basically, the AI versus AI in video games, right? So imagine you could take like Mortal Kombat or any of these, or like even like the Flash games, like mini clip era, like freaking Bubble Trouble, or I don't know what, and have these things like compete against each other and allow people to speculate on the outcomes. Like imagine you had this model, like boxers or fighters that have these like career records, right? They go like 50 fights and never get knocked out. Imagine you had this model that every single game you put it in or whatever, its training data was so good that it was like undefeated and there was like money riding on every game it has. And then you can layer in like ways for the audience to like, fuck with the models mid game, right? If I'm some massive whale, maybe I can burn 10,000 tokens and I can give it like a lag spike or do like slow down time or a power up for the other one. And that idea of like giving the audience agency in an otherwise like bot versus bot battle, I think is super cool. And
super cool.
Yeah, it's something that I'm like, been chatting with the AI, with the ARC guys, as they're now called, on, and they seem pretty excited by that vision too. And I know they've got a bunch of new stuff that they're releasing early next year. And so that's one that I'd flag that I think is cool, that's relatively underappreciated. But otherwise, I don't know, man. Still trying to make sense.
You can pause there. That's enough alpha for one episode. We'll get you back on to share more alpha in the future. But PK, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all your insights around gaming AI. It's an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, man. It's been a ton of fun, and hope to be on again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for listening in, everybody. Have a wicked awesome day. As always, if you liked today's episode, please hit subscribe and make sure you follow us so you don't miss out on the next one. There's also a link in the description to our free 5-minute daily newsletter where we simplify crypto for you while making you laugh. And if you're willing to step up your crypto investing game, we're going to also leave a link for Milk Road Pro. You get access to our portfolio where you can see exactly what we are buying. This is your number one resource to help you invest successfully in crypto. One final note, this show is for educational purposes only and nothing we say is financial advice. Investing in crypto or any asset is risky and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Thanks so much for listening in, my friends. Have a wicked awesome day.